Well, g'day guys, how are we all? So, I remember a few weeks ago I mentioned that I was going to touch on a few little tips and tricks about travelling with dogs. And well, one of them is have some handy treats there. But look, let's go over some of these points because I reckon these points will definitely help you guys that want to travel with dogs, like I'm travelling with my little buddy Ranger at the moment, just to have that much more of an easier time when travelling with your best mate. Come on mate, on your bed, up, on your bed. What's this, on your bed? Good boy, sit. There you go buddy, all right. Let's go. All right, so one of the first things to note is, well, these guys are going to need to go to the loo. So regular toilet breaks, not only for yourself, of course, you know, when you got to go, but more often than not, these guys are going to need to go as well. So to save yourselves from having a bit of a mishap in the car, which, yep, I've had that one happen too, make sure that you stop on the side of the road somewhere, safe of course, and take these guys for a little bit of a toilet break as well. It'll save lots of unwanted accidents, put it that way. Okay, so second of all, snacks and treats. Okay, so don't just give them snacks and everything all the time or treats and that all the time. It's no different to being at home, but definitely having some treats there to let them know that, hey, yep, on your bed, and they get on their bed. Give them a treat every so often. That just sort of reinforces that fact that they know they're doing, you know, they're going to go to their bed or onto where they normally would sort of sit in the car or whatever else and be quite content in there. Have a snack, they'll be happy. Regular exercise. What have you done here, mate? Regular exercise. Make sure that you take them for a walk in the morning before you start to set off on your trip for the day. As well as, of course, you know, a couple of trips stops throughout the day. You might sort of get them out as well and take them for a little walk. But super important, when you get to where you're going to for the day, get them out and put the lead on and take them for a really good walk as well. That'll not only help them to sort of, you know, burn off some excess energy, but it will also help to, you know, let them go to the loo at the same time. Hey, isn't that right, buddy? Hey, you're a good boy. Having a comfortable designated space for them in the car. Now that will help the pet to feel comfortable where they are in their own surroundings. I've had times where, you know, I've had to sort of quickly duck into the shops or, you know, it's not been a suitable area for a dog to be at. And I've had to actually sort of leave them in the car for a little bit. Windows down, of course, and even with, you know, a small little thing of water. I carry collapsible bowls. You can get these at most pet shops in various sizes and colours too, of course. But what I've found is as long as the pet has, or the dog or whatever you got, has somewhere safe and comfortable, they will actually feel a lot safer themselves and they won't fret. So I've had times where I've been at a caravan park and I've had Ranger just on the lead, as he is now. I've gone off to go and have a shower or go to the toilet, and he has started to fret and start whimpering. You know, that sort of stuff can actually really annoy some people in caravan parks, whatever. So to sort of alleviate that, I actually put him in the car, in his little space, and he's got a little seatbelt attachment as well. It is like a little buckle, like on the end of a lead, and the other end of it goes into the seatbelt. So I just put him in the car with his little seatbelt on, and he sits in there. He's got his own little bed in there, and he's happy and he's comfortable. No fretting, no whimpering, and most importantly, you're not annoying anybody else. Okay, now this is an interesting one. Dog-friendly campsites. There's a lot of places now becoming a lot more comfortable in having a dog there, as long as, you know, they're either on a lead or you're always with them. Some places even have a dog off-leash area where it's actually sort of fenced around. Place I stayed at up on the Atherton Tablelands, they had exactly that. So you had a little campground there. Your dogs are welcome as long as they're on the lead, but you can take them into their little dog off-leash area, let them run around. Of course, they're probably going to go to the toilet, all right? So make sure you carry your bags and dispose of your dog waste where it's supposed to go. But yeah, that's a good one. So I also use an app on my phone called Wikicamps. A lot of you guys might have heard of it already. Wikicamps is fantastic. It'll give you so much information about rest stops, points of interest, and camping sites. And in the information for the campsites, it'll actually tell you whether dogs are welcome or not. That is super handy to know. All right, and even still, when you go into, when you actually sort of go into further detail for the campsite itself that says dogs are friendly, they will also stipulate that the dog must be on a lead. All right, so if there's any other requirements there, they should have them noted down as well. 99% of them do. I've not actually come across one yet that doesn't. So, dog-friendly campsites. Look, unfortunately, national parks, you got some amazing campgrounds in some of the national parks, but you can't take the dogs into. Now, where I'm from over in Western Australia, we do have a lot of 1080 baits. They are terrible things. It's a very brutal way for a dog to die. Unfortunately, in certain areas, they use the 1080 baits and they are necessary, but I hate them. I can't stand the bloody things. I don't take Ranger, my dog, anywhere where there's a 1080 bait. If I see the sign there, even though it says, it doesn't say to have no dogs at all, but it's warning you that 1080 baits are there. So I guess the best way to approach that situation is, it's like all the waterways up in far north Queensland, Northern Territory, and far north of the of WA. It's got a sign saying crocodiles. Some places don't have signs to say crocodiles. Just assume that crocs are there. So much in the same regard, just assume that 1080 baits could be there. All right, you don't want that to happen to your dog, not at all, right? Anyway, moving along from that. All right, so the next topic I wanted to touch on, this is a good one actually, caravan park etiquette. Right, I try not to go to caravan parks myself. I like to try and go to nice, beautiful, remote places. Caravan parks, they certainly have their place, and look, let's face it, a lot of caravans, it can be very, very hard to get into some of these tighter places that you want to go to. So they have the caravan parks there. They've got all your facilities, all your bits and pieces. Now, with dogs at a caravan park, you've got to make sure that they're on a lead, all right? You've got to make sure that when they're left alone, they're not going to be, fretting and whimpering and whatever else. Again, touching back to that point, have a comfortable place for them to be when you go off to the toilet or you go to the showers, stuff like that. Okay, now some caravan parks actually stipulate that your pets are not to be left alone. Well, how are you going to go to the toilet? How are you going to go and use the shower or put your clothes on the laundry, There's going to be times where you have to go and do those things, right? So your pet will be left alone. You don't want your pet to be in a situation where they're able to get in fights with other dogs or other animals at the caravan parks. I've seen that happen. It's not pretty. The owners start to then get, the pet owners then start to sort of get in a bit of an argument. I've had that happen, not with me, but where I have been before in other caravan parks, I've seen it a couple of times, and yeah, it's not good. One other way to sort of stop that, I guess, is have a decent quality harness for your dog, not just a collar. So with Ranger at the moment, he's on his collar, but I do have a couple of different harnesses. So I'll show you one of these. Now, most of your pet places will actually have your harnesses. This is another lead that I have for him. I use this one when I go on walks with him. And what it does is this one sort of goes, which way does it go, mate? Oh, look at him, see? He knows he's ready to go for a walk. So this bit here goes underneath, no, over the top, sorry. So his head comes in sort of through here, all right? And then it clips up around his body. And look, something like that is going to hold his body, not just his neck. So I've seen some dogs before, they've actually gone and gotten out of their collar. That's where obviously it's very important to have a good fitting collar. Oh, Ranger, you're stuck, mate, hang on. There you go, buddy. All right, I've had Ranger actually chew through one of these fabric type leads before, which is why at the moment he's on this type of a lead. It's about a 5 meter long lead with a buckle at each end. And this is actually a stainless, is it stainless? I don't know, it's a steel cable, but it's also coated in like a flexible plastic. They are perfect. Your dog can't chew through those. If he can, he's got what? Jaws of steel and teeth made of steel. All right, aren't you, buddy? You're a good boy. So make sure that, yeah, if you've got to leave your dog alone and it's going to be outside the vehicle, outside the van or whatever, that they've got a good quality harness on, actually holding the body, not just around the neck, okay? As well, look, not only is it going to be more comfortable for the dog, but if they do go to run, it's going to hold them at the body, not at the neck, and strangle them. Another one, some places actually stipulate you need to have a muzzle. Not very often, but I have seen it. And look, this is a nozzle for, or nozzle. This is a muzzle for Ranger. It's pretty small. Yep. This, I guess, gets back to the whole 1080 bait situation as well. If you are in an area where you do have to take your dog there and there are 1080 baits there, or you believe that there are, this will aid in preventing them from getting at the 1080 baits. Will it stop them completely? No, right? But it will help to sort of, help to sort of minimize that risk factor, as well as, if the dog's quite anxious on the lead. I've seen some dogs get quite anxious on leads as well. Yeah, buddy, this is yours, but we're not wearing it now. All right, so that's just another point there. So muzzles, harnesses, decent quality leads, stopping them from fretting and stopping them from whimpering and everything like that in a caravan park will make your stay more enjoyable, as well as everybody else in the caravan park. Picking up after your dog, after they go to the toilet, look, that should just be a given. That should be a given for any person out there that's a responsible pet owner. All right? Shouldn't have to touch on that too much. National parks, well, kind of touched on national parks a little earlier, but national parks, you can't take your dogs into national parks, okay? No domestic animals. That's pretty much a blanket rule around Australia. However, right? However, some places, if you are traveling from one side to the other and the road goes straight through the national park, they'll say you can enter the national park, however, your animal must stay in the vehicle at all times, all right? Now, that sort of point will sort of, that'll have arguments for and against. Do you really need to go into the national park? Do you need to go through it? Is there another way around? Can you have your pet be looked after by somebody else, or can your pet stay in a kennel whilst you go to the national park itself? I went through the Bloomfield track the other day, and before I went through there, I had Ranger in the car, and I told them that there's national parks towards the top end of it, and they've said to me, no, as long as the dog stays in the car, you can go through. So happy days. All right, just check with rangers, check with national parks and wildlife in your state or territory, and get the information from them. Okay, word of mouth, not necessarily the best way to go. You want the right information. Keep yourselves out of trouble and keep national flora and fauna safe and your dog safe. All right, now let's touch on dog kennels themselves. Okay, this is an interesting one. Some people are dead against putting the dog into a kennel while they have to go out and do a few things for a few days, or whether they're going on a holiday or they're already on holiday on a trip with their dog, like myself with Ranger, and don't want to put the dog in a kennel. Well, you're going to be met with times where you might have to do that, unless you can find yourself a pet sitter. Now, a lot of places that are pet sitters were happy to have your pet for the day. They'll have a day rate. Some will even have an overnight rate as well. For argument's sake, if you're going to go somewhere and it's going to be an overnight trip, you're coming back the next day, usually they'll go, okay, well, instead of it being, for argument's sake, a $40 per day rate, so there'll be $80, they might say, look, make it $100, we'll have them overnight, you come back by 4 p.m. the next day and pick up the dog. Happy days. I've had that up in Exmouth in WA. This guy here though, bit of an escape artist. So I got a phone call partway through the day saying, look, Ranger got out, but we've got him back. We're keeping him inside. We feel really bad that he's gotten out, and we'll see him when we get back. So that didn't really work out for me. This little bugger keeps getting out. Kennels, look, do your research on kennels. There's, look, you got Google reviews, check those. Word of mouth, I guess in that instance, can sort of aid you in making a decision as to what kennel you want to put your dog into, depending on how long you're going to be going away for. I've had Ranger stay in a kennel while I've been at one of the 4-wheel drive shows, and as much as I felt bad putting him in there, it was also peace of mind knowing that he is safe and secure where he is, and there's no risk of him getting out at a kennel. That's one thing you probably need to weigh up as well. Do you want your dog to stay with friends? what happens if something goes wrong? Are you going to feel bad, like I felt bad when this little bloke decided to terrorise the budgies? Yeah, he ate the budgies. I know, right? Yeah, I felt so bad. Had he stayed in a kennel, well, you know, the budgies would still be there. Oh well. So I guess there's that side of it as well. So if something were to go wrong, you know, would you blame your friends? Would your friends then feel bad? Would that then affect the friendship? You don't want that situation. What else have we got there? Kennels look safe, secure. The dog's gonna get fed, dog's gonna get exercised. You know, some kennels will even give your dog a bath depending on how long they're staying in the kennel for. I've had that down in Brisbane, that was fantastic. So I'd definitely, if I was back down that way, I'd have Ranger stay with them again, no problems. Now we're gonna move on to vaccinations. This is Ranger's paperwork. Right? I keep this with us. I keep that with me whenever I take Ranger on anywhere, okay? So if I need to put him into a kennel, most kennels will ask for proof of vaccination. I've got everything right there. If he needs any other vaccinations or worming or anything like that, then that record will go straight into his book as well, and that information's right there for them to see. They take the copy of it, they're happy, your dog can then stay at the kennel. So that's always good as well. And yeah, just make sure that you know, if there's any worming treatments and stuff like that to happen, you know, ringworm, heartworm, all that sort of stuff, that you stay up to date with that as well. Using your phone as a reminder, you know, on your calendars and stuff. Perfect. Most pet shops will have all your different types and brands of worming as well. All right, guys. Well, I reckon that's probably going to be it for traveling with dogs. A few of the points and tips and bits and pieces all around that. We have had a fantastic trip so far. Ranger is about to go into the kennel this week because I've got to go home to Perth for just over a week. So I hope he doesn't really know what's going on, but at the end of the day, I know that he's going to be safe, he's going to be secure, fed, exercised. I won't have to worry about him, and I'll really be looking forward to picking him up when I get back. So if you've got any questions at all, please drop me a line through the Jetfish Offroad Instagram, or send us an email at jetfishoz@gmail.com. Cheers.